Hi, everyone. Namaste. Hey, it's Bill Free, and I want to wish you a happy new year. Welcome to the Awareness Podcast 2023. I'm really happy to introduce our first guest this year, or my first guest, Hans Wilhelm. And Hans is a mystic, a best-selling author with over 200 books for all ages, including some together with Byron Katie. And his books have sold over 40 million copies and are translated into 30 languages. His YouTube videos are explaining and depicting the spiritual laws of the universe, the way he sees it, and Gabrielle teaches. They are non-denominational and have become an important source of inspiration and help for his over 15 million viewers around the world. Everyone, please welcome Hans Wilhelm, and thank you for being here.
Thank you for inviting me, Bill. I really appreciate it. Thank you for the opportunity to be on your program.
Yeah. Well, we like to bring content to our listeners in different ways. This is broadcast through the different podcast avenues and also YouTube. So it'll go out and be viewed by whoever is supposed to hear about it, know about it. But it's our passion at the Teachers of God Foundation and Pure Presence conferences, and also a new thing that I've been working on for the last year is a documentary film called the Awakening Mind Films documentary series that I'm working on with another group that are, it's really just sharing the love and the passion that we have for people in this great awakening experience that we've found ourselves in. And I love being able to share new content and new authors, new ideas with this broad audience of the world that is in this awakening experience right now.
I agree with you. It's great. There's so much happening. And it's difficult to find the right path because you have got so many options with YouTube and all other forms. So it's helpful to get some guidance and to find exactly what is right for you at this particular moment.
Well, that's so true, because there are, it's a little bit crazy because it's kind of like religions. I heard one time that there's 20,000 different religions, and in the spiritual genre, it seems to be growing and growing and growing. And I can see where people can find confusion in the search for truth, in the search for freedom, or the search for God, the search for the teachings of people that we have heard about. Of course, we know about the most famous ones like Jesus or the Buddha, or Mary Magdalene, or and others. There are thousands of teachers out there to follow, and it can be difficult for people when there's so many choices. Which one do I pick? Which one do I choose? And I like to think that the people that that listen to our podcast or watch it, or that attend some of our Pure Presence conferences, they have come to rely on a somewhat focused content and level of teaching that is hopefully pointing people to the desire for inner peace, happiness, and joy, the freedom that was expressed by all of the teachers that I just mentioned. Plus, there are more. There's so many more. But the ideas that are expressed in the awareness podcast, I feel it's important that we choose teachers that are in on a path that's a little bit safe. It's not considered a cult, because there are also cults out there that will take people down a path that would, add to their misery could be for this whole lifetime.
And beyond.
And beyond. Yeah. Yeah. I was watching your YouTube video. What was it? It was the life in the 15-minute video that you sent me a copy of. It was called
The Amazing Earth School.
Yeah, The Amazing Earth School, the School of Earth. I thought that was a proper description of this experience that we're having in these what I call bodysuits, and or incarnation. And you speak a lot about reincarnation. You have some illustrations for people in that regard. You talk about karma, and that it sounds like in the reincarnation descriptions that you give, that our karma determines our experience in the reincarnation. Is that
for the
accurate?
most part, yes. For the most part, that is correct. There are certain other reasons as well why we want to incarnate again. For instance, if we want to learn a certain quality like humility, like love, that may not be the reason for karma. That may be just sort of the specific lesson we want to learn. So we can also incarnate for that. We can also incarnate to help another person on his path here on earth. We can also incarnate to become teachers, to help others. So it's not only karma, but I would say for the majority of people who are here presently on earth and who are going also through a lot of tough time, it is usually our own karma, what we have uploaded long time ago in previous lifetimes, and to a degree also in this lifetime, which is coming back to us and gives us our daily challenges. So if we understand that what we are facing is nothing else but ourselves, a lot of shift can take place in our mind. So we cannot blame anybody. It is all coming back to us. And why does it come back? Not as punishment, but as a lesson in love. Everything is here to teach us love. And if we sort of reap that what we have sown long time ago, any unloving action, thought, or word, then this is no opportunity to realize, hey, that's not right. Let me not do this again. So that's very simple. The main reason why I think most people are incarnate for these, 30,000 days only. It's very, very short. Many people mistake this earth life here as our only life we have, which is, of course, sort of silly when you consider how short it is and how eternal or infinite the universe is. So it's really, truly a very short opportunity which is given to us by divinity to undo our karma in a much faster way than we can do it in the spiritual realms, where we will go back to and from where we came. Because here on earth, the challenges are more intense, partially because here on earth, we are meeting people of different frequency, of different background, very mixed. In the spiritual world, like attracts like rules, which means that people of similar vibration are together with other souls of similar vibrations. So if you have, for instance, a cult you mentioned earlier, or a religious group, they're together again. And then they're all the murderers together, all the politicians together. Whatever is our dominant vibration, our dominant belief, attracts us to the right environment. But the environment is as I said, everybody is similar like we are, and that is very slow to grow. And here on earth, souls from all different levels of the spiritual realm can incarnate simultaneously. So we are suddenly exposed here to a lot of other people in different ways. And we also meet people who have seen in previous lifetimes again to undo our karma.
Mm-hmm. Right. And so can you, in a short kind of a way, can you define what karma is? What is karma?
To me, it is every time we have felt, thought, acted, spoken against the law of love. We are by nature nothing but an expression of everything is vibration. I've got a video on this one, that everything is vibration, which means our whole existence, the God spirit is vibration, our consciousness is vibration, and we are phenomena out of consciousness. We come out of consciousness like all these stars and planets, which are just phenomena of consciousness. So strictly speaking, you and I, as well as everything, well, the chair we are sitting on is nothing else but vibration. And that's the only thing. It's only vibration and energy. This is all our existence is. And when we acted against the highest vibration from which we came, which is love, then we are not in harmony of love, and we remove ourselves out of that area. This is very simply illustrated in the story of the fall. We have removed ourselves by what we call selfish thoughts, ego thoughts, not the unity thought, which is the high thought of service and love. So every time we have a selfish thought, word, action, we remove ourselves. And gently we are given the opportunity to come back into the stream of love by experiencing the unloving thing we have thought, said, and done ourselves. So we experience our mistakes, so to speak. I won't call them necessarily guilt or sin, which is the traditional way of describing it, but I call it our mistakes. We can experience them, or the other way is, and this is why Christ came, in my belief, we can also, with the help of the Christ spark, ask for forgiveness, and the karma can be forgiven by the person whom we have hurt. So we do not need to experience our karma. And therefore, we are also here to forgive 70 times 70, like Christ said, others who we think have harmed us, so that we eliminate this negative karma tension, which is in this vibrational existence of what we call consciousness.
So this karma is only you're implying that the karma is a mistake, that consciousness is making a mistake.
The individual manifestations of consciousness, which are the spiritual being, like you and I have been spirit beings, I would call highly evolved spirit being. We all are highly evolved spiritual beings. And this happened at the beginning of creation, that some of them have decided to make their own creation, and they've left the highest realm. This is what the story of the fall is. It's very difficult to describe it and also to fully grasp it, because this is a 7-dimensional reality, and we are trying to find words and images from it. And so we use it, we use metaphors like the fall and things like that. But the fact is that a certain number of highly evolved spiritual beings, pure children of God, have left the realm, our true absolute reality, and have entered the temporary reality, the Maya, which in a way is an illusion, but that's a whole different thing. It's difficult to deal with it when you call it an illusion. We still have to deal with our day-to-day problems. We have to pay the rent, and we have to do all this kind of thing in our day-to-day life. So saying simply it's an illusion doesn't really get us anywhere. We have to deal with it. There's a reason why we experience what we experience. We're basically re-experiencing what we have given before into the causal computer, which is a karmic computer. So basically, our life is nothing but on rewind. I have a video on that one. Our life is on rewind. Basically, we're rewinding all the stuff we have uploaded in the past. So now they have the opportunity to undo it, to heal it, and to get ourselves back into a higher vibration and be attracted back to the divine stream of love.
Okay. And so your basis for these posits, or for these theories, what are you using as a are you using your own memory of a past life? Are you using Akashic records? Are you using the teachings of Edgar Cayce, the Bible? What's the Buddhism? What is the teachings that give you this what sounds like a very complete theory of the karma, the fall, the creation, and all of that? Where does all of this information come from?
Well, all of the above to a degree, because I started very early as a teenager on the spiritual path, and went to Edgar Cayce, TM, and a lot of other teachers. But it was about 40 years ago when I came across a teaching from a woman in Germany. Her name is Gabriele, and she gives kind of channels is a word, or prophecy, whatever you call it, from the highest absolute reality, from divine beings up on the highest level. And when I read it for the first time and read more, studied it, it just sounded, it vibrated with me as truth. Initially, I had some problem because it was totally detailed, everything, and I tried to find some flaws in it, something it doesn't fit together. But the more I studied it, the more I saw it is a perfect picture. It makes total truth to me. And then I started to apply the lessons given in these teachings in my day-to-day life. And that really hit home when I realized that the simple lesson as given by the absolute reality through her makes sense. Now, she is not easily to be found on the internet. She is very careful that her information, which comes from the highest source, is not polluted by internet vibration. But the only thing what anybody can read, access, are her books. There are, I don't know, 50 books which she has published over the years, as well as a television station. Now, I have many of these books on my website. If you go on my website, lifeexplained.com, there's a page of book recommendations. And on the book recommendations, I have all the books which I've used for my videos. So I can honestly say that I have tried it out. I haven't found any flaws in it. To me, it makes sense. I have zero interest to promote it in a way that convince other people. I merely offer it. And what I do in my videos, because I'm not a teacher, is I make it clear to myself. I'm a visual person, so I have to see how karma works. Like, for instance, here, I have to show it here. There's a person who gets hit. This is the karma. Above, you can see the Akashic record. And then there are the repository planets of where this karma is stored and how it all comes back. When I see that visually, it makes so much more sense to me. So I make this video where I visually show, I draw these things out, how everything connects. And I do it for myself for deeper understanding. And then I share it. And if one person enjoys it and gets help from it, great. If not, it's also great. So I have zero interest to somehow convince anybody that this is the path, because I also know that everybody has their own timing and their own path to learn. This may not be right for everybody, and but I wanted to offer it to young people, because I remember when I was 15, there was no internet. There was nothing to search. I mean, luckily, we had the Beatles at the time, and they went into Maharishi, and I did TM. And that suddenly opened my eyes very suddenly. I mean, I remember how I was a totally insecure, frightened teenager, sort of, really, I hated my future. I didn't know what to do with my life. And then suddenly I learned TM meditation, which, by the way, I no longer do. I have my own Christian meditation. But at that time, I suddenly learned in a very short time to calm my mind, and I changed within weeks. And it just was only a few months later that I told my parents, I says, I think Germany is too rainy for me. I want to live in Africa. So I didn't know a soul. I moved to Africa and started a whole new life there. I would have never had the guts had I not TM, which taught me to calm my mind and not to be frightened anymore.
Yeah.
So sometimes when it's one thing, what I'm saying is there is a lot of information also on the path which I am passing on in my videos, or sharing in my videos, but not until we really apply it does it make any sense. And that's what I invite people who wish to learn it and so on to find out what we call the inner path is right for them. Again, because as I said, there's nothing on the internet. It's totally free. There are no teachers. Gabi refuses any teachers or anybody to promote it in any way, because it is only between Christ or God and you. The whole path, the books are only between the two. There is no one else involved here. That's why there is no membership, no dues, nothing in any way which can be between God and yourself, because the kingdom of God is in us, and that's where also the release is of our pain. That is where we have got the Christ spark, which can convert this negativity back into the light.
Well, that's a lot to all of what you're sharing is a lot to take in for people that maybe haven't heard of this teaching or these ideas, and a lot of our audience would be either A Course in Miracles or the Direct Path, non-duality, maybe some Buddhism. And it sounds like a little bit of what you're proposing is looking at a different kind of understanding, where you're presenting the backstory of what you're calling the fall, or what the Bible calls the fall, and creation. And of course, many of us have read, had some information about the Old Testament or the New Testament, or the teachings of Jesus, or the teachings of the newly presented, maybe the Dead Sea Scrolls or the Nag Hammadi Library. Some of the teachings that were hidden or buried for many years are starting to help humanity and the religious movement for 2,000 years to realize that there was more, and it was clearer, pointing in why are we here. I mean, similar to your website, Life Explained. It's really helpful to have Life Explained, and I would say that a lot of the things that I hear from you, it does corroborate what some of the missing gospels and some of the ideas that are offered through Edgar Cayce and the writings that he spoke about, or that he left to follow, and even A Course in Miracles, in where Jesus actually talks about Edgar Cayce and validates his communication with the consciousness of Jesus, and consciousness itself. So there's a lot that we don't know, and I think there's probably a lot we don't need to know to have to have an understanding of what our true nature is. What are we? I mean, I know that your teaching is pretty clear that we're spiritual beings in a body-mind experience, and and also I think you use the word soul quite a bit, and so we would be, without this avatar, or without this bodysuit experience, we are consciousness, yes. And so these individuated, what's these seeming, I would say for me that souls are still a fragment of one. Would you say that would be accurate? that may, even though there may be gazillions, not billions, not trillions, but an infinite number of souls, that there's still only one presence.
I think we don't disagree. Let me also inject here that I did Edgar Cayce many, many years as well, before I then also later did Course in Miracles for many, many years as well. And I compare these with what I believe now. There isn't the basic idea, there's not much difference between these two things, because we also believe this is an illusion. I said it earlier. The Course in Miracles is very strong on this one. It's an illusion. But we find the explanation in the four, basically vibration. It's vibration. We got out of it. And because Course in Miracles calls it a dream, yes, I look around, we can definitely see this as a dream as well. But we have got, maybe in my understanding now, is that I've got some more solid, not more solid, I should say, I've got tools which work for me better to undo old patterns, not just the understanding this is anyway an illusion and thus it doesn't count, and I just sort of identify with my higher self. That alone has not worked too much for me. That's why after I think 5 or 6 years Course in Miracle, I somehow let go of it. I also found out that I was proselytizing, I was missionizing the Course in Miracles. I was trying to convince other people to join the Course in Miracles. And when I realized what I was doing, I immediately knew that I didn't believe totally in it. Because the moment we proselytize, we want other people to agree with us, that means we are doubting it. Whenever we want to push a path, we only do this to satisfy we're questioning ourselves. Okay. So at that time, I was aware of that. And I said, this is not, there must be more to it. But I said, the basic teaching is the same. We are here in a dream. And the Edgar Cayce material is also very much the same. So how we interpret and what kind of stories we use, whether use fall or vibration, is something, but each path has its own words. And you said, what kind of souls, fractalized souls we are? What do you call it?
Well, a fragment of the one. The souls, in my mind, souls is the what seems like the individuated experience. We're trying to put a word to an individuated experience based on a thinking mind in time and space. So we're putting a name on these multiplicity of experiences called souls. And in my mind, there's only one being that is that is consciousness sleeping, that then awakens, and somehow we as a body mind reflection of that God experience, we're now experiencing this relative experience, what seems like an individual experience, and yet what we are in truth is we are what God is. Not Bill is what God is, and not Hans is what God is.
All right.
But consciousness, the I am presence, prior to incarnating, prior to words, prior to descriptions or labels, or good or bad, right or wrong, what is aware of this experience right now is the same awareness that consciousness, or the same awareness that God is.
I think we are more or less on the same page on this one. Yeah, it is.
I think so.
Consciousness, vibration, and out of this have slowly, through evolution, slowly certain phenomena manifested, like the animals, the plants, the kingdoms, the planets, and so on. But we call the cosmoses and the universes. Yep. They were all created out of the same stream. What we call light ether, we can call it God's spirit, we can call it consciousness, we can call it love, we can call it the 7 laws of God, all the same, different words of different qualities of the same stream. Yes, and we are the ocean of God, and we will return as a drop of the ocean again eventually, but not as I do not share the idea that we will dissolve in the stream again, like some Eastern philosophies have, that we dissolve eventually, we go back into the stream and lose our identity. I strongly believe that we are created beings, infinite created beings. We will not lose our identity. As children of God, we do not lose our identity. That's my strong belief, that I will be infinite, eternally being my identity as a child of God, which isn't Hans. This is only what I'm playing in this lifetime, but it is as a being of God. So there I want to make the one distinction, that I do not believe in the Eastern philosophy that we go totally back into the stream and lose our awareness of ourselves.
Okay, so I have two, I think that's an interesting posit and an idea. And I'm definitely not going to try to dispute or cancel that. I do have two questions. One is, when you're describing the fall, is that fall a human experience? Is it a soul experience? Is it a vibrational experience? Is it prior to matter?
Yes, I have the Lucifer's Rebellion, a video, and where I explain it, basically where we come from the highest absolute reality. And in the absolute reality, we are, as I mentioned earlier, perfect sons and daughters of God, as what we call angelic being, perfect beings, as well as all the animals are there, etc., and the planets. It's a total existing, many cosmoses, many different 7 heavens. And that's where we came from. A certain number has left this because they wanted to create their own heaven. This is the fall idea. Ego comes in, and they have, because of their vibration change, they could no longer stay in the highest vibration. They fell, basically, as we use, out of this high vibration to a lower vibration. And they fell more and more, and the further they got away from the central sun and from the absolute reality, the less energy they had. And the lowest form of the 7 4 regions, which we are in, is the material universe. It's the lowest form. It's just really, well, the lowest vibration, so to speak. And of course, it is only vibration. There is no such thing like matter. We only perceive it as matter.
Right.
And that's where we are presently as human beings. But in the meantime, in the 4 region, outside of the absolute reality, we are souls who are of various degrees of evolvement. Some are on the way back, some are falling down. And that's where most of us are. And I'd use the word soul, anybody outside of the absolute reality. Once they're inside the absolute reality, they are the sons and daughters of God. They are spirit beings, high form spirit beings.
So would you say that absolute, so for words that we're using, when you use the word absolute reality, my mind goes to pure presence, where there's only God, there's only presence, there's only this essence of isness, and even is too many words to use for that pure presence. And when you use the absolute reality, I'm thinking that there's no two, there's no second, there's no many, there's no souls, there's only God is or is. So and when you use different dimensions that you describe, like the 7th dimension, and on and on. I just interviewed a professor from UC Irvine, Donald Hoffman, and we're in this documentary film that we're working on. And Professor Hoffman has a different, he has a very interesting theory about different dimensions that we describe. And this is a 3-dimension, and he calls this body mind an interface in some of his theories, or maybe even this experience that Bill is having or Hans is having, is nothing more than a headset, a virtual headset that consciousness is using, and it's being filtered by this interface that's made up of your previous lives. Maybe this interface is made up of your karmic carry into this dimension of reality. And he said this interface is only made up by consciousness with the purpose of survival. That's why this interface doesn't really see reality for what it is. Using the body's eyes, we only in the five senses, that the most we can do is just survive on this mechanism. It wasn't made in the evolution of consciousness incarnate. It wasn't really made to see the truth of reality, because if you saw the truth of reality, you would see right through matter. You would only see, like the matrix, streams of vibrational frequencies. And he said, well, if, consciousness very well could have shown, arrived in a 4-dimensional or 15-dimensional or 50-dimensional reality. So in my question, I know that's a long kind of a backstory for this question. If we're using the 7th dimension as a mark of reality, why aren't we using a 50-dimensional reality? And where is the absolute? And are there really souls at the absolute when there's only one?
Let me clarify one point. I am not a philosopher. I do not think these things from philosophical point. I am working from the material that was given to us by the cherubs and seraphs of the absolute reality. And the material which I read made, for me, total sense. And always the word comes up, God is ingenious simplicity. It is much more simple. It is our intellect which always tries to come up with a lot of difficult variation. But when we look at it very clear, it is absolutely simple. Everything is very clear. And Gabi always says to us, it says, if God Father exists, and would a father really have secrets from his own children? No. Everything that what we can understand on our 3-dimensional level of awareness, understanding, is given to us so that we can walk home. When we progress onto higher dimensions, our mind and our heart will grow, and we will understand more. But definitely all the answers which we need to have answered will be answered on this level. And I think for myself, I can only speak of what I have learned, and understand also that the consciousness, coming back to that point when you said it's only one, yes, it is the God Spirit, the Holy Spirit, some call it the God Spirit, from it comes. But to experience it, it does need the phenomena of existence of somehow. And the quality of consciousness is always sending, receiving, sending, receiving. It needs the two polarities, otherwise consciousness is dead. It needs interaction. And the interaction is part of this game of creation, of creating how the God spark slowly evolves. I have a video called All About Animals, how we can see how from the God spark, the mineral kingdom evolves, then the plant kingdom evolves, and the animal kingdoms, the nature spirit kingdom, and then eventually the pure spirit beings. And when you see that, and when I see it for myself, I don't try to convince anybody, neither you, it made total sense for me. And understand now that the absolute reality is not just only an ocean of awareness. No, it is full of life forms, which need to be there for consciousness to have the fun, basically. And the problem is that some of us have removed ourselves from this fun area, from this ecstasy. We speak often, Deepa Chopra and so on speaks of ecstasy. That is basically a part of the description of divine reality, of absolute reality. Is ecstasy, is joy. That is our true nature to which we return. And this earth life here, which we have, is painful. It has nothing to do with the absolute reality. It's not an intention of what we call God or divinity. This is a self-created hell we are living in right here because we got totally confused. The only problem there is confusion. We just forgot who we are, and we hurt other people because we feel we have no energy. And the reason why we hurt other people is to steal energy from that. Everything is basically stealing and exchanging from energy. And by doing so, we hurt ourselves more and more and more and remove ourselves far more from the divine source. So basically what I'm saying is that there is a stream of God, there is a reality, the seven-dimensional, but I believe it is full of life forms, full of cosmoses. And yes, I speak of seven. I'm taught there are seven major laws of God. This is order, divine will, divine wisdom, earnestness, mercy, patience, love, and mercy. And these seven laws of God create these pure heavens, we call them, or absolute reality. And these are the seven levels and seven heavens, and they have seven sub-heavens. So there are seven heavens. I don't care about the numbers. To me, they're like rainbows. One goes into the other. But they are separate from us right now. Not quite. They're also inside us. And this is something what Gabi and the spiritual world reminds us always. Everything is inside. We don't have to go from here to somewhere else. We only have to go within. The kingdom of God is in us. It is a hollow motion kingdom. Everything is in everything. The smallest particle contains the entire creation, which is very difficult for us to understand. But we do understand how holography works. And this is exactly how the whole existence is. The stream is existent. It's everything is in everything. So the kingdom of God is in us. We just have forgotten it.
And you mentioned thank you for that. I'm enjoying this conversation, even though I don't fully understand some of the ideas that you're sharing, and yet other ideas I do think are important. We agree that the kingdom of heaven and all dimensions, whatever they are, whether it's 3, 7, 12, 50, those dimensions, they cannot be separate from what I am. They may be veiled, and maybe I can't see them. And because maybe there's you call it karmic, maybe there's karma that's veiling the Son of God, or the true I am presence. Those obstacles, as the Course in Miracles would say, the idea that brings us to an understanding of our true nature is to remove the blocks to the awareness of love's presence, which is our natural state. So the awareness of love's presence is available right now, here.
All the time.
In this moment. And I think for me, that is what awakening is. It's the awakening experience is when what the Course calls Christ or the Son of God. What I don't know what you would call it in this teaching. The presence of I am when awakening occurs, when someone self-realizes, it's consciousness or awareness or the soul that sees itself and knows itself without judgment, prior to any there's no gender, there's no history, there's no future, there's just is. And in my mind, that infinite moment of reality is the same as the kingdom of heaven within. That experience is known, And when awakening occurs, I think you see glimpses of it. You see glimpses of reality, and you have understanding and clarity, like the teachings that you're talking about from Gabriel, and these ideas. You're not the thing that resonates with those ideas is the essence of your being, I would say. And that can only be accessed by one who is awakening to that.
Yeah, it sounds great. I'm just looking back in my own kind of past. Did I ever have such moments where I sort of saw the very description like you said? No, I didn't. I never had really that. What I did have is a very close relationship from moment to moment to divinity, to God. And being this how should I say, this child-God relationship, which to me is the desired state to be in, that I feel not the real oneness with God in the sense that I dissolve in God, but the God and his child together. That feeling that I have experienced, and that is for me very powerful. To see a total dissolution of everything and being in that stream, I hear you and I understand that. I have not experienced it, so I can't speak about that. But I believe it's very easy, or it's relatively easy, to return back to divinity, to God. And it's the exercise which I believe are very helpful is when we are able to clear up our path, when we do the forgiveness, asking for forgiveness, when we do what we call clear our past soul burden and clear because our soul, the way I see it, is burdened by the misdeeds we have done our path. And when the soul is like there are rocks on the soul, and that means that the vibration, the life force, cannot really flow through us and keep our body and our mind healthy. So when we clear up all these things which are on our soul, like on a well, then the well can spring again, the spring can flow again. And that can really change our health, our well-being. So I feel, for me, the most important thing here in this lifetime is to undo my negativity, which I call the karmic burden, in one way or the other, either by experiencing or where I know to go and make amends. And that is the freedom, because the path I'm talking about is freedom, 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 freedom. And not until I've cleared up all the ties which I have created with other souls or people in past lifetimes. And there must be some horrific lifetimes. Most of us have lived some very bad lifetimes in the past, because life in the Middle Ages and so on, for instance, was horrific and very dangerous. So we may have done a lot of bad stuff. So a lot of that stuff comes back to me, and I have to clear this slowly, one by one, and clear my path again. And when I feel clearer and something is forgiven, I feel easier and lighter. And that's basically what it's all about, to become free of anything that binds us to this planet Earth.
Yeah. Yeah. And I agree with that. I think that the difference between, and this is one of the reasons that I stepped away from A Course in Miracles for a while until I understood the teachings of the direct path, the non-dual, a more direct path idea, where you realize that there's a belief that we're separate from our source. Is it true? It can't be true.
No, it can't.
And so there's a portal. There's a portal that's available where, and it's the same thing that Jesus said when he said, when people say, look here or look there, don't look out there, look within. The kingdom of heaven is within. And when he was spoken to, when he spoke to the Sanhedrin or the Pharisees, I don't remember which one, but the final straw where they said, okay, that's it. He said, truly I say to you, before Abraham I am. And that was the nail, the first nail to his crucifixion, was that statement. In that statement, Jesus was describing our relationship with I am, our relationship with what he calls the Father. I am one with the Father, you're one with me. He was describing our one self nature. And it's my posit, having followed the Christian path for many years, and the Course in Miracles for another dozen years before I came to this clarity in my own experience, is that the I am that presented itself to the Sanhedrin and the Pharisees is the same I am that is using this body mind as an interface, that's using this body mind as an avatar. That same I am is present, and when it's relied on, when attention is given as I am, you're there. You're within is presenting itself, and if you can realize that experience, now bring whatever things that are disturbing your peace, bring those triggers, bring the judgments, bring the labels, bring the whatever karmic, whatever kind of things that are negative energy, bring it into this space and let it be loved, because none of those things are separate from source. None of those things are separate from our I am essence and divinity, the thing that is what you are. Whoever is listening or watching this video is the same I am. It's not two I ams.
Yeah, I agree with you in almost everything you've said. Yes, that I am is in us, but I am not God. And you said that earlier as well, that Bill is not God. You said it somehow, didn't it?
Yeah, I definitely didn't.
So I think that as long as we understand each other there, because there's a lot of New Age teachings that say we are God, and as long as we agree on that one.
Yeah. So the distinction that I make is that we, not these bodies and not these personalities in any way, are God, and yet they are arising within what God is, and God is using these bodies to communicate right now. How could it be otherwise? Is there anything besides God?
No, there is nothing besides, but you make it sound to me, and I may get it right or wrong, that God is using us like a puppet in a way to experience life through us.
Well, of course it is. How could it be otherwise? How could God separate itself? And I mean, if there's only God, if there's only one being, how could God separate itself and not remain what it's always been?
It sounds to me like God does this, which we experience here, in the way I hear it from you, intentionally.
Definitely, yes.
That's where we both disagree on that one. I do not believe that the reality, the temporary reality, what the Course calls the dream or the Maya, is God's intention. That is self-created through ego. That is not, if I look around, how see people suffer with cancer, with illnesses, and with pain, no job, no food, or whatever, I could never imagine a God intentionally planning this one way or the other. That is not the God I know. My God is love. And that love would never, ever even intentionally, remotely do anything what we have done to ourselves, to planet Earth, to everything else. It harmed everyone and everything around us. So I made a distinction that what happens here, what I do and what other people do, is not the attention of God. That is the attention of our ego. I make this distinction. Now, God is the energy which keeps us alive. That's different. We can use that energy and we can create, we have the free will. And out of this energy, we can create horrors, which we have done many times over here on this planet. Mm-hmm. But I do not see God using me or you to experience life. No, that God doesn't need to do. That is what I would call sometimes the teenager God, I call it. Meaning that somebody who is a young male teenager in 18, 19, he wants to experience himself. He wants to go out into the world. He dives mountain climbing and scuba diving and everything to experience life, because a young person believes he lives forever. That kind of God, I do not believe in. This experience, what we are doing here, is totally self-inflicted on ourselves through our ego. And that is what we call the fallen world. And that is unfortunately the case. And we have to wake up again. I couldn't see even remotely God wanting anything of the pain that we are doing to each other here. That is not my God.
Right, right. And I used to agree with that idea. And when I break it down and I retrace what that idea implies, it implies that the separation is true. It implies that God can separate itself from itself. And I don't see how that is possible.
The separation is an illusion. It's a Maya.
Yes, yeah. Yes. And how can the separation, the illusion of separation be separate from its source?
Because the illusion is driven by our self-will. God, as he gave all his children, the one big quality is the self-will, the free will, the free will. With that free will, we could do anything. And some of us have really misused the free will. So the experience we are having, you and I and most people here on planet Earth, is a self-created, self-willed reality, self-willed. Typical example is a person who continuously does negative things. He becomes more and more involved and meshed in his negativity. And we have done it from lifetime to lifetime. And we have created this world, which is now really in the last breaths of existence because of all the pain we have inflicted to each other. That is, I think the cause is right as a dreaming child, yes, but I believe that is not the will of God. That is not at all absolute reality, which is blissful. We do not need to suffer to evolve. The absolute reality is continuous evolution and expansion. And it happens in slow movements, in waves. It does not need, evolution is not a painful thing like here on Earth we think it happens. It does not need the pain and suffering, because it can happen very gently, slowly growing from one to the next level. And that happens in the absolute reality. That's where where our true being is, or we are supposed to be. But we are in a dream, and this dream is totally self-inflicted. And yes, I agree with you. We can only experience it because we have got the life force, which is the God spirit, in us to keep us alive.
Right. Well, yeah, we do gracefully and joyfully disagree with each other on that point. Only that, and I love all of your ideas that are proposed on your website. Life Explained makes a lot of sense. In my mind, the place where we differ, Hans, is that I think all life, the dream, the Maya, the body, the ego, all of those things are still God, because God is absolute, and I feel that God intentionally allowed itself to have a dream allowed time and space, the dream of time and space, this dimension of reality to occur, and allows itself to have this experience, never leaving its absolute nature. And yet all of this is still the play of God. So otherwise there would be God plus something else that we call an illusion. It would mean that God is not absolute. And I don't think the absolute nature of presence, of I am, I don't think it makes mistakes. And that's just a difference for the two of us. But I love, I think your ideas are valid ideas, and they're helpful for people that are looking for the mechanism of, well, why are we here? How did this happen? The fall and all of those and also karma, cause and effect in a relative sense in this bodysuit or this body mind experience. It seems like a really real thing. And yes, this time and space experience does sound and feel and look like what hell must be. I agree.
Bill, I have no way to prove even a single word what I'm saying. I can only speak from my own experience of having tried out the lessons and understood it through my videos, making through my videos. I can only speak from that level. And therefore, I have no interest and no need to convince anybody. I can only share what I've explored, and I share that. If it works for somebody, great. And if not, that's fine too. Everybody will come to the right path. As I came to Edgar Cayce, to Course in Miracles, to TM, these were all necessary steps for me. They may not be for someone else, but I'm grateful for all these teachers I've had in my life. And Byron Katie, one of these really wonderful, wonderful teachers who set millions of people free from their confused mind. That was a blessing. That is a true blessing in my own life.
Yeah. And I, it's funny that I've been to Byron Katie's school. I've been to the Edgar Cayce museum over there in West Virginia. I've followed his teaching for a little while, and this is this lifetime for Hans and for Bill and for many that are our age in this experience of awakening. We're all in search for truth, and there's so many great paths for the in search of truth. And I'm grateful for yours. I'm grateful for the way you illustrate these ideas for people and help people to. I saw the testimonies on your website. They're wonderful. So I am in no way trying to discredit the work that you're doing, and in every way I say thank you for the way Life Explained is helping so many around the world.
Thank you, Bill. I appreciate what you're saying. Yeah, and that was a wonderful conversation where we both agreed on most of the stuff anyway. And we will. None of us knows, because only go what we believe at the moment. One day we will know.
Yes, one day we will know. Well, I would like to continue this conversation on another, possibly another podcast, or maybe we could have you in one of our conferences, and you could explain a little more. And we could prepare a little bit to maybe answer some of these questions for the audience, because I think these questions are valid. There's no pushback from me, and I'm not. I could care less whether you agree with me, and you could care less whether I agree with you, because we're free. We're free to have different opinions. And also, the thing that we do agree on is that there's something wrong with this. I think we agree on this. There's something that looks like it's totally off in time and space, that looks like or sounds like hell. There's a lot of things that happen that doesn't feel like love or joy or peace or happiness. There's a lot of offness here, and it's really great that there's an answer for people that are suffering. There's an answer for people that are that are hurting themselves and other people. And it's available through these different offerings that you have on your website, through the understanding that that God is real, God is true, love is true, love is real, and we can have that while we're still living in these body-mind experiences.
Perfect. Yes,
Yeah.
I fully agree, Bill.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, thank you for being on this show,
Thank
the Awareness
you.
Podcast today, Hans. It's been my pleasure to have you as a guest. And until we meet again.
My pleasure too. Thank you very much, Bill. Bye-bye.
Thank you.